What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I want to talk about quarterback Desmond Ridder, but if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content, hit that like button for your boy. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys for your continued support, continuing to share out my content on all the social media platforms. If you would like to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you can follow me at Jew Talk Sports. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can donate to my Cash App, which is the $ Jew Talk Sports. And if you'd like to be a part of my Jew Talk Sports membership, you can hit that join tab here on the channel as well. But with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So in today's video, I do want to talk about quarterback Desmond Ridder and why I feel that the Atlanta Falcons have done a great job of putting Desmond Ridder in positions to succeed as a first-time starter in the NFL. I love what the Atlanta Falcons have done. Both Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith, anytime you bring in a young quarterback or any quarterback in the NFL, you want to put weapons around that quarterback to give him or put him in a good position to succeed. And I feel like a lot of organizations go wrong when they draft young quarterbacks is they don't make sure they have a complete roster around them. They place them in harm's way because usually those teams that are picking high in the draft don't have good teams. They don't have a good offensive line. They don't have weapons as far as skill position players, wide receivers and running backs. They don't have a solid defense. And I feel like the Atlanta Falcons had a plan. Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith did a great job of laying out a blueprint for Arthur Blank before they were hired 3 years ago, where they basically laid it out in front of Arthur Blank, basically telling him how they were going to clear up the cap space, how they were going to restructure this roster, getting rid of, those big contracts with Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and a lot of the aging players that we had, and bringing in young talent. They did a great job of scouting and bringing in young talent, bringing in players that they thought would fit their scheme. And I really think that they've set Desmond Ridder up to have success. Every time I talk about Desmond Ridder, I always point to Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles and the blueprint that they had with Jalen Hurts last season, where they basically went out and nobody believed in Jalen Hurts after his first 2 seasons in the league. A lot of people thought that he was just going to be a borderline, like mediocre quarterback. And the Philadelphia Eagles went and bolstered their offensive line. They always have a solid defensive line, but then they also poured in a ton of weapons. They added guys like A.J. Brown on their team. They had weapons in Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell that they drafted. They brought in the wide receiver out of Alabama, Devontae Smith, and they continue to just give him as much talent as possible. And I feel like the Falcons have done the same exact thing with this young Falcons team. We added guys over the last 2 seasons like Drake London, like Kyle Pitts, and then this year they added Bijan Robinson. You have guys like Cordell Patterson. You have guys like Tyler Algier. That's only going to make Desmond Ridder's life easier. And I feel like anytime you draft a young quarterback, you need to have those weapons and have guys in place, offensive line in place, a defensive line in place. I think the Falcons did a good job of building on the defensive side of the ball in free agency, while them going out, bringing in guys like Calais Campbell, Jeff Okudah, Trey Flowers, Jesse Bates. They did a good job of adding as much talent as possible to this roster to build a complete team. And I really feel like this Falcons team is going to definitely make the playoffs and definitely make a deep run in the playoffs because of them giving, Desmond Ridder the weapons that he needs to succeed. I really feel like in the NFL, you have a lot of organizations that year after year, they draft quarterbacks early in the first and second rounds of the NFL draft, but they don't do a good job of trying to establish all of the other pieces around that quarterback to help him succeed. And we seen last year with the Philadelphia Eagles, if you go out and you bring in all of the adequate pieces to have a successful football team, at any point you can bring in a quarterback and help them have success. But the first thing is building a roster around them. And I feel like a lot of NFL teams build their teams backwards. Usually they look for a star quarterback before they have a good offensive line, or before they have an established defense, or before they have established weapons. as like wide receivers and skill position players, running backs and things of that nature. So I really think that the Falcons have put Desmond Ridder in the best position for him to succeed this season because they've added the weapons on the offense, those skill position players. They've added these defensive players on the defensive side of the ball, and we've always pretty much had a decent special teams unit. And then they continue to add to this coaching staff with them bringing in guys like Ryan Nielsen from the New Orleans Saints, continuing to bring in, different guys from different organizations to add different ideas and add in different scouts to this Atlanta Falcons organization. I really think that Desmond Ridder has been placed in a really good situation. And I always state any type of quarterback, whether it's a young quarterback, a first time quarterback, first time starter, or whether it's a veteran quarterback, you're only as good as the pieces around you. If you look at the guys who's had success, Matt Ryan, when he was here in Atlanta, he had guys like Julio Jones. He had guys like Tony Gonzalez, Michael Turner. If you look at any of the Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, Tom Brady has had great defenses. If you look at the team that he had in Tampa, he had so many weapons on that team that they added. Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Rob Gronkowski. Like he had, probably the most talent in the league, but a lot of people don't talk about, the weapons that was around him. They just point to the quarterback position. So I just want to get you guys' thoughts on how you feel about the Atlanta Falcons and how they built this team. Personally, I think that they've done a great job of putting Desmond Ridder in position to succeed this season and moving forward. They went out and brought in young offensive linemen to solidify that offensive line. They kept together the guys that we had on the offensive line, re-signing Caleb McGarry, re-signing Chris Lindstrom. So I really think that this Atlanta Falcons roster from top to bottom has been put together really, really well. And I really believe that's because Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith had great vision for what they wanted this Atlanta Falcons team to be. So with that being said, you guys give me your thoughts on Desmond Ridder as a starter. Do you feel like the Atlanta Falcons have put him in positions to succeed? Personally, I definitely think that they placed him in a great position heading into his young career as the starting quarterback of this team. But with that being said, this being your boy Jew, I have a lot more content coming for you guys. But as always, Falcons Nation, rise up. Peace.